Last time on Baldur's Gate 3, we killed a god with our bare hands, which also means we've shifted the genre of this game from CRPG to JRPG, so now Gortash's hairstyle makes sense. Thankfully, defeating one god isn't the end, and we still have a few more to contend with, so we head over to Baldur's Gate 3 where our story was going to reach its conclusion. Before heading into the city of Baldur's Gate 3, we rest in a destroyed fort, and lie on the ground thinking about how we made it this far in the first place. We give our thanks to all the companions who helped us along the way. Companions like, Withers. Some Githyanki monks using their bullshit detectors find us, and we're then thrust into a timed combat sequence where we need to click on the portal before the timer runs out. We need to fight our way through a couple of powerful Githyanki monks to reach the portal. The monks are also somewhat similar to me. Oh, so that's what I've been doing to people. We instantly give up trying to fight them and rush to the portal instead, where we're then transported into the dream space we've been visiting sometimes when we rest. We do a few rad jumps and make our way to another Squidward. Squiddy here explains that he was the dream visitor all along and pretended to look different so that we wouldn't judge his tentacles. We then agree to fight alongside him to take out the Githyanki that are invading this dream space. First, we use gravity to our advantage by pushing a monk into the void. Then we punch another one of the monks dead, use gravity one more time, and then finish the fight with a final set of punches. Squidward then tells us about Mr. Orpheus here, who he's holding prisoner and siphoning power from, to keep us protected from the Elder Brain so that we don't turn into squids ourselves. He also gives us his backstory of being an adventurer turned squid, then tells us we can become stronger by injecting this white brain slug into our brains. We jam it into our brains and our minds expand, giving us a few extra brain powers. After that, we leave the dream space astral place, rest up, and head right into the city. We start by getting harassed by some small child, who we immediately tell to buzz off, and then we find some guy arguing over some refugees that are in his home. We disregard the guy's worries and then brag about how he killed the apostle of a god. Because the guy was so impressed, he leaves and then we're free to explore his home. We find a note in his basement that he was making some explosive kids' toys, and then we move on. Baldur's Gate itself is a pretty big city, so naturally there's lots of different activities that we can do here. For example, we can steal from a cheating genie and get sent to a prehistoric plane, where we discover that what actually killed the dinosaurs was us. We can also fight clown shapeshifters and their wooden pit bull, and we can talk to the press to give our story of how we single-handedly took down Ketheric Thor- Oh god damn it, it's Orin. We also head to the local blacksmith to see if there's any good gear that we can pick up here, and god damn it, it's Orin again, leave me alone! After we're done talking to people and causing mayhem, we try to find our way into the city itself. At the city gates, we're stopped by the guards and their robot, and said robot reads our past and deems it cringe. Since that's illegal in Baldur's Gate 3, we get instantly transported to jail. But now, to escape our confinement and escape with glee, we speak with the skull and solve his riddles 3. 3 answers correct in a way we're transported, so we grab our things and our freedom we're rewarded. Immediately after escaping prison, we're assaulted by prophetic dreams. Our memories as the Dark Urge finally come together, and we remember that we're the scion of Baal, the god of murder, and Orin, our questionably blood-related sisters trying to disinherit us from Baal's blessing. I guess that's why she keeps bugging us. Very relatable though, I hate it when my little sister tries to usurp my blood throne. Immediately afterwards, we hit level 9. From here on, for levels 10, 11, and 12, we're going to be multi-classing into Rogue, and taking the Thief subclass so that we can get an extra bonus action, which gives us more punches per turn. Some more robots harass us and then tell us to go to Gortash directly so that we can watch his inauguration ceremony. For now, we're going to ignore them and head deeper into the city. We mainly rushed into the city to grab a new piece of armor at the magic shop. Then after collecting our new duds, we immediately head back to the outside in order to advance a few questlines. Heading to the refugee camps, we investigate some stables to follow up on the toy bombs. We find them, and our next step is to confront the toy maker themselves, the guy who was arguing with the squatters earlier. Spoiler, I don't think I ever did this. Next, we head down to the beach and find 2 mercenary groups arguing with one another over their turf. One of the mercenary groups tries to start a modern-day internet argument with us, so we punch him and his entire crew down. After leaving no survivors, we scoop up a brain slug and move on. We head back into the city and accidentally find Corilla, who tells us Raphael is waiting for us in a shop we passed by earlier. Disregarding Devilman for now, we actually want to head into a secret base that Squidward had back when he was still freely operating in Baldur's Gate 3. So we head down into a cellar and then nuke some rats to clear our path. Making our way into the main room of the cellar, we find that there's some other Githyanki that also found their way here. What follows is a pretty difficult encounter where we're surrounded by a lot of enemies. There's 2 portals that spawn in enemies every now and then that we need to take out ASAP. The main issue with this fight is that it's hard to break line of sight with most of the enemies, because a lot of them have ranged attacks and there's not a whole lot of cover near the portals. In retrospect, I could have used a Scroll of Darkness, but I have a lizard brain and forgot about them for this entire fight. In the end, the winning strategy was to start by taking out the commander in the middle of the room. Then I took out the Githyanki on the left side portal, using a signboard in the back of the section as a shield. After that, I waited for the right side section to run over to me. Then I beat those guys up and then we won. With our victory achieved, we make our way over to Squidward's base of operations and find absolutely nothing of value. Thanks, Squiddy. We find an entrance to the sewers from Squid's base and head down, where we're immediately met with that orphan child from earlier, who is now covered in cranberry juice for some reason. She's yelling for help for some reason, which we completely disregard, and oh god damn it, it's Orin again! Orin tells us she's going to kill the orphan if we don't do as she says and deal with Gortash first. If we agree to her demands, she's going to honor us with a 1v1 no items Fox only final destination match to see who the better champion of Ball really is. After that strange interaction, we head into the sewers and find a door directly to the mercenary base of the mercenaries that we poorly attempted to help earlier on the beach. Head mercenary lady wants us to head into a super bank and help her mercenaries with a showdown happening inside of the vaults there. We tell her we'll take care of it later, and then we head back to camp to rest. Later that night, Squidward visits us in our dreams to talk about feelings, and we wake up slightly confused. After that, we leave camp and visit Raphael. Raphael wants to cut us a deal where we can free Orpheus from Squidward's prison by using a hammer that he's keeping in his house. In exchange, he wants us to give the crown that's controlling the Elder Brain after we defeat it. We tell him that's a really stupid trade and refuse, but shortly after that, Squidward tries to probe into our mind to figure out what we were even talking about with the devil. Squidward acts really suspiciously about it, and then we shut him away from our mind for a little while. Continuing our exploration of the city, we fight some Sahwagan? How do you say this word? And then we reach level 10, putting our first point into the rogue class. We then head to the docks and punch an angry mob's lights out in order to save Volo again. I then accidentally came across the bomb factory, or rather the fireworks shop those toy bombs were coming from earlier. As an avid defender of the people, I righteously storm the shop's highest floor, where they're creating their bombs, and then detonate the bomb powder around them, taking out most of the villains in the process. Then, as always, I punch the survivors. At this point, I decided it's a good time to head over to that bank and help the mercenaries out again. We convinced the workers and the guards in the bank to let us into the vaults, and after brute forcing a puzzle with our 6th intelligence, we make our way into the innermost vaults. There we find some mercenaries, Minsk, and a seemingly not dead Jahira for some reason. What ensues is a large battle where we need to take out the opposing mercenaries, and aside from some invisibility shenanigans from the enemies, everything goes pretty well. We take all of the free EXP, steal some treasure from the vaults, and then we never follow up on this quest again. With the bank successfully robbed, we head back to camp for another rest. Volo made his way back to camp and tells us about our ball blood, and how we have a choice to defy our evil father. I thought I was doing pretty good already though. I've only done good deeds up till now. We rest and another dream sequence in the astral plane occurs, and why is Squidward naked? Seriously, dude, why are you naked? I didn't ask for this. Can I wake up now? This is getting really weird. After that strange encounter, we head back out to further explore the city. Then we find another shopkeeper who seems to recognize us. We bribe her to tell us what she remembers, and we find out that Gortash and I apparently went into Ultra Hell. Then we stole the Elder Brain dominating crown from a devil and pissed him off, and then somehow came back alive. Also, apparently it was my idea in the first place. Wait, am I the bad guy? Further conversing with the lady, we ask her if we can break into Raphael's House of Hope so that I can get back at him for constantly soliciting me over my car's extended warranty. We also convince her to do it for free by promising we'll bring her back something nice and shiny. She gives us all the materials we need to open the portal to Raphael's house, but we'll save that adventure for a little bit later. For now, we're gonna grind a little bit of EXP for a bit. So we take out a wizard, do some sewer cult cleanup, and defeat some dock guard dogs. And by now it's time to start taking out the real problems in Baldur's Gate 3, starting with the vampire of the city, Cazador. We find our way to the top of the city, take out some charmed guards, and set our sights on his mansion. We quickly find the keys that we need to progress in the mansion and find our way to a large room full of hostile werewolves and bats. We set up a wall of fire between us which deals with most of the enemies instantly, then punch the remaining weakened survivors. Afterwards, we hit level 11. We explore and find an elevator to the vampire's main lair, where we also find Cazador himself. We don't even let Cazador have a chance to talk. Instead, we start the fight by placing a large ice floor down. Then we put down a wall of fire for all of the incoming enemies. Bats will continuously spawn in the fight for a set amount of turns, and the first set gets taken care of by the firewall. But then the ice melted before doing anything in the fight, and we get our firewall taken down by failing the concentration check. One of the enemies puts me to sleep at this point, and I believe I'm going to die as I'm surrounded by all the enemies. However, while I was put to sleep, none of the ghouls tried to attack me, and all the enemies kept skipping their turn. Because of this, we are essentially caught in a loop of being slept over and over until we finally meet the DC to save ourselves from further sleep. With every single enemy in the fight now surrounding me, it was the perfect opportunity to use the repulsion ability from the Illithid skill tree, which took out half the enemies. After that, I target the guy who kept putting me to sleep and kill him. After that, I made my way to the choke point on the northern side of the battle platform. Then I waited for the enemies to pile up, and used a scroll of Cone of Cold to delete another half of them. After that, I simply punched all the others to death, and the fight was over. Cazador retreats to his coffin, where we immediately stab him, and decide to free all of the vampires that he kept imprisoned here. Next on the list of big issues in the city, we head over to Gortash. Apparently Gortash and I used to be best buds, wanting to take over the world together. Yep, just two bros, enslaving a giant brain and destroying the Sword Coast together. Gortash says we shouldn't let Orin take our birthright and wants an alliance, but we're an independent good boy by now, so we refuse him. The next thing that we do is head back to that dock the dogs were guarding from before, and convince the dwarf pilot there to lead us over to Gortash's super evil jail lair under the ocean. On the way there, Gortash suddenly messages us and tells us our BFF alliance is over if I go into the jail. So naturally I go into the jail. We have a few turns to try and rescue any and all prisoners here before the place explodes, and in my defense, we did make an honest attempt at rescuing the Duke here. However, when leading him back to the ship, I got on first, and that resulted in his death. Oh well. At least his son's dead too, so they can be together again. After botching one rescue mission, I decide now's a good time to botch another. So we head to the factory where Gortash's robots are being made to shut them down for good. We can potentially rescue a bunch of workers here who are being held against their will to create these robots, but unfortunately their bomb collars explode before I can. I take care of some of the guards and make a new friend who we attempt to guide downstairs to where he can blow up the factory. We head downstairs and get put into another fight where we immediately go invisible and our new friend instantly dies. This is why I don't have friends. We then jump up to the bars up high and cast the Black Hole Lithid ability on the large group below us, and then use a scroll of Ice Wall directly on top of them, killing most of them. After that we punch some robots and then use a scroll of Cloud Kill to kill the rest of them. We also use Speak with Dead on our old buddy's corpse to try and figure out how to explode the factory, then move forward. We're nearly to the end of the robot factory, but we have one last set of enemies to deal with, the big boss robot alongside 3 other iron giants. To win this battle, we have to use the natural enemy of every robot ever made, a door. We start the fight and quickly run back to the doorway, placing an ice wall in front of it. Once the robots gather together, we create a space in the ice wall just big enough for the individual robots to enter, but not the boss robot. The iron giants then enter one at a time, and we can take down each of them easily without being overwhelmed. We take down each robot individually, then focus our attention on punching the big one, and sending it back to the scrap heap where it belongs. The robot goes down and also drops a nice bow that lets us cast haste on ourselves, so big bonus there. We input the code that we got from our friend's cold dead body and make our escape into the city. After all that, we're ready to take down Gortash. We start our invasion from the lower city entrance, fighting our way through various guards, none of which posed a major issue to our goals. After defeating said guards, we reach the maximum level of 12 and get that extra bonus action from the rogue class. Before we take out Gortash, we head to the prison below and cast lightning on some torches to get us access to a hidden sanctum. We make our way through solving various challenges to prove that we're worthy of whatever these trials are guarding. First, we make a picture book, kill a random ghost, and spend 20 minutes using our collective single-digit brain cells to solve a chess puzzle, and finally we have the objective to survive by playing dead for 5 turns. We head into the deepest part of the sanctum, and then we're suddenly super mind controlled by a dragon corpse in the middle of it all. We find out through a conversation that Squidward is actually Baldur, the guy who made Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3, and used to be friends with this dead dragon. The dragon is mad because they didn't get a bigger role in the game, so now we're forced to punch this dragon back into the afterlife. The dragon itself doesn't pose too much of an issue, but it does a large cinematic AoE lightning blast, and when it does this we're forced to hide behind some crystals. Afterwards we head right back in and punch down the devilish dragon. Squiddy then comes back and gives us the rest of his backstory. Squiddy wanted to be a squid with his own mind, and Dragon didn't agree and said it was bad. So Squiddy killed the dragon. The end. We get a cool new helmet, and now we're ready to take down Gortash for real this time, I promise. We enter the throne room, which looks like someone had a party and spilled fruit punch everywhere, but it's also filled to the brim with traps and bombs. We can actually use this to our advantage by throwing the bombs back at the enemies and nearly one-shotting every enemy here. After some bombing and punching, we make our way up to the top level of the lair where Gortash is hiding. Gortash gets mad at us for destroying his prison, his factory, his plans, and his career. So we tell him, sorry bro, it was just a prank. And the dude starts attacking us for some reason. The very first thing we do is take out the shield things on the wall to prevent them from protecting Gortash. And while we wait for Gortash's shields to drop from the start of the fight, we take out the closest guard and wait for the following turn. We walk up to Gortash and a bomb drops down, which we then throw at the other guards. We also start punching Gortash, stun him, and wait for the next turn and throw another bomb at the enemies. Then finish Gortash before he can even call his god for help. I feel like we may have over-prepared for this fight. Now that we've killed the fake king, the next best thing to do on the list is killing the devil. So at this point I'm ready to go to hell. We head back to the devil shop and perform the ritual to open up the House of Hope to us. After opening up the portal, we're met by Hope of the House of Hope, who's being held captive by Raphael here. We agree to help her and she gives us some hints as to what to even do here. We then quickly make our way to the vault where the hammer to free Orpheus is waiting, as well as some nice other gear. We say hi to Corilla and try to convince the archivist who's protecting the vault to let us take the hammer. He redirects us to Raphael's incubus for permission, so we head on over there. Also, for some reason the incubus looks exactly like Raphael. I guess Raphael took go f yourself a little too literally. The incubus turns into a succubus that still kinda looks like Raphael, and they want to take our chastity. However, as a wise man once said, I cannot lose my virginity because I never lose, so just before the deed is done I refuse their advances and punch my way out. After that narrow victory, we steal from Raphael's safe and grab the hammer and other treasures from the vault. The entire house turns hostile and we learn Raphael is on his way back home. We then have to punch our way out and rescue Hope, so we make our way to the prison and take out any enemies that come our way. We take out the enemies by waiting at the entrance of the prison easily, and then after they're dealt with we use the hammer to break Hope's chains. As we approach the exit of the House of Hope, the devil himself appears. Raphael is a little ticked off because we stormed his castle and raided his vault. Also, for some reason, Yurgir is here. Raphael goes on about how he made a mistake coming here, so the only way forward is to lay the smackdown so hard that even a devil may cry. Trademark, copyright, all rights reserved. First we head for the door immediately and block the demons off with an ice wall. Hope then dies pretty much instantly before even getting a chance to help, and so we book it back to where the prison entrance was. The demons eventually make their way through the ice wall and try to chase me down the hall. A turn or two later I end up going invisible and getting taken out of combat, then moving back in to hit the demon. But then something strange happens. Most of the other demons involved are still out of combat. The other demons aren't even moving back into the room. So at this point I could either decide to wing it and keep going or reload and give them a fair shot. Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm giving Raphael a chance. He's literally the last person who deserves it. I go invisible again and sneak back into the central room, take out Yurgir and the pillars that were still in there, then deal with the demons around Raphael. Finally, I go ahead and sneak up on the painfully unaware devil and start punching his lights out. We punch him with everything we've got, and even though Raphael tries to transform, he's absolutely no match for 30 fists in 18 seconds. Hey, don't blame me, I told him what was going to happen 2 videos ago. Should've listened to me. We grab the armor that Raphael drops and equip it thanks to the abilities that it comes with, and leave the House of Hope for good. Then we deliver the goods to that one lady who wanted them, and now there's only one person left in Baldur's Gate to deal with. We head over to the murder tribunal to get their approval for the duel that we're going to have with Orin. We meet up with Grandpappy Sarevok here, and Sarevok has us kill an angelic creature and bathe in blood. And that's it, we're ready to go. We head over to the sewer, fight a puzzle battle, and then we find the cult base. And hey, the funny goblin guy's here. I was starting to think he wasn't even real. We then make our way to the center stage where Orin and her captive are waiting for us. Orin is like, I'm a killer, and we're like, do it pussy, you won't, and so Orin does it. Who could have predicted this outcome? We challenge Orin to the blood duel, which goes pretty much how you would expect given our track record of god and devil slaying. Orin melts into a puddle of bones and blood, and we're congratulated by Mr. Goblin for a job well done. Mr. Gobbo then starts turning into unlimited blade works, and suddenly Big Pappy Baal starts talking to us. Pops here wants us to take over as champion of Baal, and if we refuse he's going to drain our blood for good. But wait. Thinking back on where our journey has taken us, and just how many obstacles we faced on our own, we can't just let Dad take control of our life here, so we look him straight in the eyes and say, I think murder is bad. Our blood then gets sucked out of our body and we're left to die on the floor. That is, until Best Boy Withers, the one true friend we have in this world, comes in to save us. Withers tells us that murder is indeed bad and our father is a huge edgelord, but now we're free of his influence and don't have to murder anyone anymore. Now that Ball is out of the picture, we're ready to become a real hero, for real this time. We set off deeper into the sewers, ready to confront the Elder Brain, and make our way to its hiding place underneath Baldur's Gate. We find our way over to the Brain Swamp and make our attempts to subdue it using our 3 Chaos Emeralds. We fail every attempt to throw lines at the brain and fish it out of the swamp, and we're nearly overwhelmed by it until Squidward comes to save us. The big brain then comes out of the sewers and starts the assault on Baldur's Gate 3, and it's up to us to take it down. Squidward tells us the brain is at level 50 and evolved into its 3rd evolution, the Nether Brain. Squid says the only way to defeat the brain is to eat Orpheus and harness his powers. We say, okay, why don't we just free him and he'll work with us instead? Squid is like, no, he'll kill us, dude, I promise, just trust me, okay? We disagree and Squidward is like, okay, free him, see if I care, and then joins the enemy side? Squidward, that makes no sense. What the fuck? Disregarding what a baby Squiddy is, we free Orpheus and he's a little pissed at us for not freeing him sooner, but he very quickly understands how dire the situation is. Orpheus says we gotta become a super squid in order to defeat the Nether Brain, and says I should do it. I tell him no, he should do it, and then he says okay. But I realize that he probably has way more friends than me, so I don't actually mind going squid. Orpheus says we're very cool for testing him and that we'll be best friends forever. So we finally truly embrace our squid form to become the ultimate hero. We exit the astral plane right into the assault on Baldur's Gate, and the final act of our story begins. We open the doors to a meeting where the true Baldur's Gate was the friends we made along the way. Friends like Withers, Angel Lady, Volo, and that's it. I kind of killed everyone else. We press on and start the final sets of battles. In the courtyard, we face a large amount of enemies while we're backed up by a few soldiers. The enemies aren't anything particularly special, but we just need to take out the winged horrors as soon as possible to prevent them from calling in more allies. Orpheus tags along with us, and he's also a monk but nowhere near as strong as me, so he doesn't do much damage on his own. We go around punching every enemy, and one by one we take all of the enemies down. We do basically the same thing for the following fight in the courtyard, and next up we need to race to the top of a tower so a Nautiloid doesn't blow us up. Using our ultra monk speed, we reach the doors so fast that the enemies might as well have just seen a weird squid like Blur fly by. We climb up the giant brain stalk and meet up with the giant in the clouds, aka the Nether Brain. We're then met with our final adversaries as Squidward flies down from the skies on a red dragon, fully intent on trying to stop us for some stupid reason, despite spending the whole game saying the brain needs to die. He also claims that he knows us inside and out, and if that's true, then he also knows that I'm about to punch a hole right through his head with the force of a supernova. I start by taking out the extra person that Squid summoned and immediately destroy him on the next turn in a few punches. That betrayal was really worth it, huh, Squiddy? I stun the dragon, and then I have Orpheus cast Sanctuary on himself. The Mind Flayers guarding the crown won't move until someone is in range of them, so they just stand around doing nothing the whole fight. I punch the dragon over and over until it goes down, and then move my character to start using the channel ability specific to this fight to open the brain portal. Orpheus puts down an invulnerability shield, and on the next turn the portal opens. We enter the portal and go down to the very bottom layer of the brain platforms and start punching the brain. Again, Orpheus doesn't really do any damage with his punches, so I essentially punch the brain over and over until the deed is done. And with that, we've defeated the final boss of the game. And in our final act of redemption, we tell the brain to go explode in a lake. Our new best friend Orpheus tells us he has to go fulfill his own destiny, and he's gonna tell everyone about how cool we were. We go our separate ways and have to live life as a squid for the rest of our days, so we decide to use that life to get back at our daddy issues, determined to punch Ball for good one day. And with that, our journey ends, and we made some new friends. In the end, the real Baldur's Gate 3 was the friends we made along the way. Hey, once again, thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Really do appreciate the kind words and sudden interest people have had in these videos, and I'm very excited to keep making more stuff. I do have a Liza P video in the making for a challenge run I did with that game without leveling or upgrades, so look forward to that in November. As always, you can catch me streaming on Twitch, and you can join the Discord in the description below. Alright, peace.